Marilla.
We never really talked.
You're so close and shoulder.
This one's my favorite picture.
That's a lot. That's what Joey and Allie were like.
Alright guys, so we'll finish up with these last 4 examples, and you guys will have the rest of the time to work on your homework, your review. That way you can make sure you guys are feeling ready for a test tomorrow. I think you guys should be okay. So solving the absolute value inequalities. In that case, remember we set, so again, 2 lines, 2 solutions. We're going to set up the 2 equations because the absolute value is already isolated. But careful, remember on the negative one, you have to remember to flip the inequality. So negative flip. So the first one just stays as it is. But then this one, we're going to flip that inequality. So just wrote a little note again, just to remind. Make nice numbers for Kylie here. Okay, so one of the things I noticed with your homework from last night, some of you guys were just figuring out the answer and then not like actually writing the answer. So I do need to see x is greater than or equal to 7. So I need to see what x is compared to other than just the graph. So the graph's not enough. So you have to make sure you guys show me the solution and the graph. And again, on a test, showing as much work as possible is going to be important. That way, if you make a small mistake, I can figure out what you did wrong. So, we get our 2 outcomes here. We have to put them on the number line. And they're both closed circles because they have the equal to line. But then we have to decide if it's an and or an or inequality. What is it compared to 7? So it's going to be or, because it's greater, but it's less than negative 10, so this would be an or inequality. Oh, that whole thing is together. Guess I'm not moving that. All right. So, in number 10, the absolute value is isolated. So we have to set up our 2 equations. So, our normal one, and then we're going to have the one that's negative. So remember, we're going to flip on this one. So that was something you missed. So on the negative one, it's just the inequality has to switch on the negative answer when you set up your 2 equations. It's because you're like changing the sign of that number. So it's kind of like you're multiplying by a negative. So that second one is always going to be flipped on these. So yeah, I feel like I just glazed over that, but we learned that yesterday. Some of us weren't still on vacation. So we're going to, rather than dividing by 2, we're going to multiply by 2. And then we'll move that 3 over. So get x is less than 19. That's one of my answers. Multiply by 2 over here. Why is it like... And then x is is also greater than negative 13. So we'll put those on our number line. Now this time they're open circles, so watch out for open versus closed circles. What kind of inequality is this one? This would be an and. These kids aren't running out there. That one just gave up. Oh. Okay. So 11 and 12, a little bit tougher because before we start, we have to first isolate the absolute value.
Yeah, it's not covered that way.
So we have to first isolate the absolute value. So I'm going to move this 10 over. Then we're going to get rid of this 3, so we don't want to distribute with absolute value. It works out okay in this case, but it's going to cause issues if you do. I'm going to run out of room here, so I might. Now I'm ready to set up my 2 equations. So we're going to set up our 2 equations. So y plus 4 is less than 3, and y plus 4 is greater than negative 3. And then we get our 2 answers there. Which one's the smaller number? What's that? The negative 7, yeah. So negative 7 is smaller, girls. We're going to have open circles. But y is greater than negative 7, less than negative 1, so this is that and inequality. Why don't you guys try that last one on your own then? Or we'll talk about it in a minute. Try that last one there. What is it? A few things you have to worry about. These guys really risked it going for a longer walk. They have umbrellas, so sorry. Oh, they must be fired. They must have gone to gate or something.
Oh, it's the same.
Few of them will prepare with your umbrella. What's that? So we'll talk about the last one here together in a second. first. So hopefully you did that, because if you didn't, the rest of this is probably a big mess. So let's get rid of the 2 first. So move that 2 over. Now we're going to divide it into 2 equations. So 5 minus y is less than or equal to 16, but 5 minus y is also greater than or equal to negative 16. So you have to flip it on that second one. So make sure you guys are doing that. But hopefully you guys are kind of looking ahead a little bit, kind of like that chess game idea that you're a few steps ahead. I can see that negative y is already making me think that there's going to be a little bit more work to do with this one. So I'm going to move this 5 over. So I'm going to end up with a negative y is less than or equal to 11. That looks like an F. There we go. But in order to get that y alone, I have to get rid of that negative. So we're going to divide by a negative 1, and that's going to flip our inequality. So this is going to switch again. Definitely an annoying problem. So the inequality flips again because we divided by a negative. Off your phone, please. And then now here we have the negative y is greater than or equal to a negative 21. So again, I'm going to divide by a negative 1. And again, the inequality is going to flip. So notice these both flipped again. So I have my negative 11, negative or positive 21, filled in circles here. And I think this one ends up being an and again. Right, greater than or equal to, yep. Okay, so homework is listed here for you guys. Again, make sure you follow directions. If it asks you to graph, please graph. But also with the graphs, reminder, you guys need to have these answers written out. So if we just have graphs, I'm going to think that maybe you're not doing the homework to completion, or maybe you're just kind of giving me half answers here. So homework is listed here for you guys. Again, our test is tomorrow. So test tomorrow. Bring questions though.